Hello everyone, it's Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Thank you for joining me in my little corner of the internet today where I'm going to be talking about my fountain pens. And I haven't done a video like this before. And I was inspired by Ginger Peachy Pens, where she basically showed all of the pens that she was selling, and she sold quite a bit. And yes, I am going through my collection today and going through some of the pens that I'm thinking of selling. And when I think of which pens I'm going to sell, I actually put them on a list on my spreadsheet and keep them there for a certain amount of days before I really decide that I'm going to sell them. And no, this tray is not all for sale. I'm just going to go through each of the pens that I have in my collection and really consider whether or not I'm going to sell them. So my process really is about, is the pen model something I still love? And is the design something that I still love? And would I be really sad if I lost, or if I wouldn't be? Well, the question is, would I be sad if I didn't have this in my collection anymore? Or is there something else that I want more in my collection other than this pen? And those questions help me decide whether or not I want to sell a pen. I know the process is different for everybody, but this is my process and this is what works for me. So this tray houses my Esterbrook Esties, my Model J's, and my Waterman Carens. Right off the bat, I know I'm not selling these two, but I also know I don't plan on buying any more Waterman Carens. These are the two that I want. And they also don't come out with new Waterman Caren models or colors all the time. So I know that I'm pretty safe with these two. Now with my Esties, you'll notice that my collection actually has gone down a bit. I've sold a few. I've sold Petrified Forest. I sold Rainforest. I've sold Nouveau Bleu. And when I made the decision to sell those, it was because I wanted other pens in my collection instead. And when I look at this, there is a pen that I'm considering selling. I'm considering selling actually my Quirky Leaf. And this came with a medium nib that I had ground to a reverse architect. And it's actually a really lovely writer. It's been tuned and smoothed by Kirk Spear. And one of the reasons that I'm selling it is that, I mean, I love the green color, but I don't know, it doesn't bring me as much joy or spark as much joy as the other ones that I have in my collection. And I really don't need two Esties that both have medium reverse architects on them. So if I had to choose out of these two, which one I would keep, I would choose Blue Moon over Quirky Leaf. But then I also looked at the rest of my collection and I'm like, am I okay with just the 5 Esties that I have here? Yes, because Lilac is hard to come by. The old version of Blue Moon is hard to come by. Honeycomb, I love this one because it has a needlepoint. The Coffee Monsters Co., I love this one because, I mean, it's Helen. And then Tortoise, I really love the mixture that I got in this one. But again, what is in here may not actually be here forever, and I'm okay with that. Esties can come and go, but I don't need as many as I do have, so I'm going to probably sell Quirky Leaf. Now, when it comes to my Model J's, these are comfortable, they write really well, but I'm pretty happy with Antique Rose and Violet. The two of these are just absolutely lovely. I bought Peachy Caramel at the Chicago Pen Show, and I love the matte finish, but it was my spontaneous purchase at the Chicago Pen Show, and I don't do well with spontaneous purchases. So it's not one that I think I would have normally gone for in terms of color, although it is quite similar in color to Honeycomb. And actually, now that I look at it, I mean, even the Jinhao 10. But I don't need 3 Model J's, and I don't need 2 of them with extra fine nibs. If anything, if I had to cut down my collection, I only had to choose 2, I would pick these 2. And based on that, I'm going to sell my Peachy Caramel. So that is that tray. This next tray houses, I guess, a mix of brands. You've got my Le Bons, my Pelicans, my Twisbees, my 2 Sailors, my Narwhal, and my Franklin Christophs. Now, right off the bat, not selling those. I will not be selling my Narwhal because even though this has proven troublesome, I love the Voyage Tromso, and I know that they're not producing this ever again. So, and I love the rose gold trim. So that for me is one of the reasons why I keep it, but also it still writes really, really beautifully. It's a lovely writer. I will not be selling these two because they were, one, recent acquisitions, but two, they just write beautifully. The Twisby collection, though, I'm like, do I need all three? No, I don't need all three, but which one would I get rid of? There goes my voice. Which one would I get rid of out of all of these? I love them, but do I really need all three? So like this one is espresso bronze, and I believe this one has an extra fine nib, and it writes really well. This one is cafe bronze, and again, this one is, I believe, an extra fine nib, also writes really well. And then cream rose gold. This one is a fine, I believe it is, and also writes well. So I don't know. I'm still on the fence about whether to keep all three. But even if I had to choose which two to keep, why am I forcing myself to get rid of one of these if I like all three of them? You know, so I probably won't sell any of these, even though I have been tempted to, because that mindset in me is thinking, do you need 3 Twisbys? No, I don't. But it's okay to keep what brings you joy. It's actually something I'm learning from therapy, is that things don't have to be so black and white. If these bring you joy, then that's absolutely fine to keep them. You don't have to cut everything out of your collection. Then we get to my Pelicans. So I have 2 M800s, the brown black and then the green black, and then my M1000 in the Renaissance brown. None of these are going to be sold. It took me a while to find the Pelicans that I really wanted in my collection, and these are going to be my pens for life. I will never buy another M1000 because, one, they're ridiculously expensive, and two, with the finishes of them, I have basically my ultimate M1000 in that Renaissance brown. It is beautiful. And then for the M800s, I can't see myself buying any of the special edition M800s because, again, they're expensive. But two, I have 2 beautifully perfect in terms of writing experience M800s. I do not need any more. And then lastly on this tray, we have my Le Bon 325 and my Le Bon Rosa. This one is, I guess, a recent acquisition this year. It writes well. It's beautiful. I love that cracked ice finish. Not one I'm going to sell because it also took me a long time to decide whether or not I wanted it. And it took a long time to get to me. And then the Le Bon 325 in snow, I ended up giving the Cambridge to my husband because it had a medium stub, which is a little bit too broad for me. This has an extra fine, writes really well. This tray, I guess, I'm not selling anything. So I appreciate you working through this with me, but I won't be selling anything out of this tray. But you'll at least see my thought process as to why some go on the chopping block and others don't. Next tray. So this is one of my maker trays, and it has pens from Mayfair Pens, Walltown Pens, Zodiac Pen Co., and Just Turnings. Now, I have sold one of my Mayfair pens, and that was my Naria, because the pocket size just did not work with me. But the 4 that I have, the Amethyst Mermaid in satin, and then the Tiffany model in both gloss and satin finishes. And then we have the Star of Arundel, which was a collaboration with Tori of Stationery Universe. Tori is a great friend of mine, and I don't ever want to get rid of that. And then this one here is the Valinor. It's in matte, and it's so different from anything that I've ever seen. So that one, none of these will be for sale. And then my 2 Walltown pens, Glinda, which I remember when I purchased it, this was definitely something that I wouldn't have normally gone for, but I love it, and it's such a comfortable pen. But look at all that sparkle. So such a fun pen. And then I had seen them do so many great combinations in the Strata Quartz that I needed to get one. I needed to get a Strata Quartz with the different finials, and I'm in love with this. It's the Walltown Pens Onslow model. And I had a little something on there. But the Onslow model gives you the different colors of the finials, and just such a beautiful looking pen in the Strata Quartz. Not my only Strata quartz though, and it's making me consider whether or not I need to sell one of these. Not this one, but if I need to sell a Strata quartz, there is one I have in mind. And then I have my Zodiac pen, my Sea Glass Kaleidoscope collaboration with Bart. This is Bourbon and Smoke from Chicago. This one is the PM5 from San Francisco. I feel like I have more. No, I don't. But then these two, I'm going to move these over. So this is the PM Light in the Cancer, and then the 3 Olives Martini, which Bart held on to that blank for me for months until I decided what model I wanted to make out of it. And while the Cancer model isn't the most comfortable for me, I love that 3 Olives Martini, and I also love that PM Light. I'm never going to, well, never say never, but I'm not going to sell those two. But the two in my hand, unfortunately, and I hate saying this, and I feel bad for saying this because Bart is an amazing maker. He's a good friend of mine. These were the first 2 pens that I ever received from Bart. The Water Lily Koi was my first one ever from Bart, very early in his days as a maker. And while I love the finish of the Water Lily Koi, I'm finding it's not one of the pens that I'm now really attracted to. I'm finding that there's actually almost too much of that yellowish green in there that I no longer love as much as I used to. And it's got a lovely fine Jowo nib on it, works beautifully, but it's no longer to my taste. And it's a comfortable pen. It writes well. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's no longer to my taste, and it's no longer something that I'm reaching for. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's not anything negative towards the maker. It's just my taste changed over time. So what I used to like a few years ago when I first started in fountain pens versus now is different. And I'm okay with that. So I think I will be selling my Virgo Water Lily Koi. Along with that, I'm also thinking of selling my Virgo in the abalone. This currently has an extra fine nib, and I actually think there's already somebody who has reached out and wants to purchase this. So this one isn't up for sale because it's already pending, but it's a beautiful abalone finish. But if I had to pick only one pen that had the abalone, I'm actually going to stick with the Voyage Tromso for my narwhal. I feel bad saying that, but I'd also rather these pens go to a home where they're going to be appreciated by somebody. And I want the pens to be used. I don't want them just sitting around in a tray. And then the last two are from Just Turnings. This is the pastel primary manipulation, which Jonathan Brooks no longer makes. So that one is not going to be sold. And then this one is my very first, I guess, custom blank from Turnt Pen Co. This is in the Swirly Joyful Kismet, and it's such a great fall pen with the colors in here. And Stephen of Just Turnings just did a beautiful job of turning that, but also adding like the clip and the metal detailings here. Really lovely. So it won't be selling that, but out of this tray, I will be selling these two. I'm sorry, Bart, but yeah, I will be selling these two. And not that I don't feel bad about selling these, but it's just they're no longer to my taste, and I would rather they go to somebody else who will use them. All right, next tray. And this last tray, yes, this last tray has a couple of one-offs, I guess, and then Heinz pen. We have Silverbro pens, Walltown pens, and then my Leonardos. So we'll start with the Leonardos. I have sold, I think, 1 or 2 Leonardos, and I have on occasion been tempted to sell these two, but then every time I write with this, I love it more. So this one will definitely not be sold. I actually have to clean that out. This one will not be sold because I am now a fan of that Memento Zero Grande 2.0 size, but also I really just love the finish of this. And with the rose gold trim, lovely. That one will not be sold. But this one, I've on occasion thought maybe I should sell the Andromeda. But then I think this is no longer available. This is not sold anywhere, and this will be so hard to try and get again. And I think down the road, if I sold this and I said to myself, oh, I wish I still had that, it would be so hard to be able to acquire again. So no, I will not be selling that. It's also beautiful. I don't think I could ever get rid of it. I think the times where I think maybe I should sell that pen because I don't need this many Leonardos, especially all with extra fine nibs, then I think, but they're pretty and I love them, and I don't think I could ever acquire them again. And then my Leonardo Furore Aqua Petra. Beautiful, beautiful pen and lovely nib. This one I haven't ever considered selling just because, one, it's beautiful, but two, there hasn't ever been a pen out there that I've thought, this one I'm going to sell for it. That's also one of the considerations where I think I have a pen in mind that I want to purchase, and then I immediately think, well, what are the pens that I could sell in place of that, or to help fund a pen purchase? And that's never been in consideration because it's just so pretty, so pretty. Then we have my Hogtown pens. This is in the Swansea Large in the Impressionist. I love the way that this acrylic looks, the way that you can really see the definition in all of the different layers. And I love that Hogtown Pens, or Terry is a Canadian maker, so that one will not be sold. And then we have here my Silver Burl in the Strata Quartz. And John was so great in creating this for me and doing the custom clip. One of the things, though, is that I've never really fully loved the way that the silver glitter finials went with the rest of the body. And I think that really affected how I felt about this pen. And that's why I ended up purchasing the Strata Quartz in the matte finish, but then also ended up purchasing my Walltown pens in the Strata Quartz, because this was never fully a, oh my God, this fits everything that I want in a Strata Quartz pen. And this is why I'm also considering selling this one. One of the things, though, is that for anyone who is wanting to purchase it, some of the metal finishing in here has oxidized a bit, so it's not its usual silver color. It has, it actually looks like it's copper now, which I think is really cool. I think it definitely adds to the pen, but it's also got the custom clip on there too. So I think this one is unfortunately one I'm going to let go of, because I unfortunately don't love it as much as my Via Latea or my one from Hogtown Pens. Like if we put all three of them together, I love these two and I'm happy with these two, and I'm okay to let this one go. And it's not one of those things where I feel like I have to let it go. I'm letting it go because there's actually probably other pens that I'd rather have in its place. So I will be selling my Silver Burl Strata Quartz. Then we have my Heinz pen collection. My first ever Heinz pen, well, no, this is not my first ever, but the oldest Heinz pen is the Champagne at Midnight in the Model K. I got this at the Pacific Northwest Pen Show last year. Love it. Such a comfortable model, beautiful pen, lovely writer. Have nothing wrong, nothing bad to say about that. Then I asked Jim to make me I forget this one, something Orchid. I forget the name of this one now, but I love the magenta clip, but also the green in here and the yellow. Kind of reminds me of Water Lily Koi, but this is, I feel like, more muted and more fall. And this is almost too yellow, but this just has the perfect mix for me. Then we have Heimdall. Like, look at the sparkle in that one. Really, really beautiful. And this one, Jim turned this specifically for me. Beautiful pen with that kind of coppery bronze nib. Lovely. Fits so well in the hand. And then we have, this was the other spontaneous purchase of the Chicago Pen Show. This is Purple Nurple. And I remember I kept looking at it during the show and thinking, is this one that I'd really, really like to have? And again, it was a spontaneous purchase. And I don't do well, unfortunately, with spontaneous purchases. It's got a really lovely extra fine purple nib on there, but it's not one that I love as much as these three. And I feel like because of that, I'd rather sell it and fund a different pen. That sounds awful, but I'd rather this go to somebody who would love it more than I do. So that's Purple Nurple. It's going to be sold. Then we have my Lamy 2000. I've had this for a couple of years now. I think I got this from Bleskett, Canada, and it's a lovely writer. I think it's one of those everyday workhorses, but I feel like it's just so out of place in my collection. It's a great pen. There's nothing wrong with it. And I don't mind letting it go because if I ever wanted to acquire it again in the future, I know that I could. So I think I'm going to sell my Lamy 2000. There's nothing wrong with the writing experience. It's just I like other pens more, and I'd rather have other pens in my collection other than this one. So yeah, I'm going to sell my Lamy 2000. And then last but not least, we have my Pilot Kakuno in the Mataromi Pink. Just purchased this, I guess, this year. And I actually purchased the other three. I bought the Dreamy White, the Dreamy Brown, and the Dreamy Blue. So those are hopefully arriving this month. And I mean, it's like a dusty pink color. So why wouldn't I love that? So that is that tray. So here we have the 7 pens that I am going to be selling. And for me, it's actually nice to go through my whole collection and do a little bit of a, what is it called that I'm trying to do? Basically just reevaluate why each pen is in my collection. And I like to do that because my collection is fluid. And I know there's a lot of people out there who probably wouldn't agree with me, but this is my collection and this is how I work it. I'm a user rather than a collector. I'd rather be using my pens rather than having them sit there and not get used at all. So that's why I've been able to sell so many, but it also helps fund future pen purchases. So going forward, let's see here, Water Lily Koi. So the prices that I'm going to be selling these for, I'm going to actually just say it. And then what I'll end up doing is that if you are interested in these, you can email me at my email address in the description, shop karinaloves2plan@gmail.com, and or message me on Instagram. Now I'm only going to be taking inquiries via email or Instagram messaging, so I will not be doing this over comments in YouTube. So Water Lily Koi I will be selling for 150 US, including track shipping from Canada. Here we have Peachy Caramel. So the Esterbrook Model J, this is a prototype in the Model J. And this one, this is an ebonite pen as well with an extra fine nib. I'm going to sell this for 275 US dollars, including tracked shipping. I know that one is a little higher, but I did basically buy this at a premium while I was at the Chicago Pen Show, and that has an extra fine nib. Then we have the Esterbrook Estie and Quirky Leaf. This has the medium nib that has been ground down to a reverse architect with an extra fine on the regular side. And I will be selling this for 200 US. That includes the extra that I had to pay to have the nib ground. So 200 US for that. And then we have my Silver Burl pen, Strata Quartz, and this one I am going to sell for 200 US, including tracked shipping from Canada. Then we have the Lamy 2000. I'm going to sell this for 150 US, shipping from Canada. And then last but not least, this Purple Nurple from Heinz Pen. I will sell this for 125 US. So again, if you are interested in any of these pens, please email me at shopkarinalovestoplan@gmail.com or message me on Instagram, and it'll be first come, first serve. Except for the abalone, this one has already been called for. Sorry. All right. So that is it for me. Thank you for working through that with me. I know that was a lot of babbling on my end, but I hope that by going through that process, it helps you understand my thought process in selling pens. And when I sell pens, I sell these really over YouTube. I sell them over Instagram, on Reddit, over on the Pen Swap, or you can use the virtual pen show on Instagram to sell your pens as well. All right, that is it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. And again, no buying over the comments, only through the email or Instagram direct message. Thanks again and have yourselves a great day.